Throne of Blood Japanese, Jizu Chao Sheung, Her One of Blood Japanese, Jizu Chao Sheung, Hepburn, Kumana Sujo, lit. The Castle of Spider's Web, is a 1957 Japanese jidaigeki film co-written, produced, edited, and directed by Akira Kurosawa, with special effects by Eiji Tsuburaya. The film transposes the plot of William Shakespeare's play Macbeth from medieval Scotland to feudal Japan, with stylistic elements drawn from no drama. The film stars Toshiro Mifune and Isuzu Yamada in the lead roles, modeled on the characters Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Akira Kurosawa, Note 1, Japanese, Heizei Ming, Hepburn, Kurosawa Akira, March 23, 1910. September 6, 1998, was a Japanese filmmaker and painter who directed 30 films in a career spanning over 5 decades. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential filmmakers in the history of cinema. Kurosawa displayed a bold, dynamic style, strongly influenced by Western cinema yet distinct from it. He was involved with all aspects of film production. Kurosawa entered the Japanese film industry in 1936, following a brief stint as a painter. After years of working on numerous films as an assistant director and scriptwriter, he made his debut as a director during World War II with the popular action film Sanshiro Sugata 1943. After the war, the critically acclaimed Drunken Angel 1948, in which Kurosawa cast the then little-known actor Toshiro Mifune in a starring role, cemented the director's reputation as one of the most important young filmmakers in Japan. The two men would go on to collaborate on another 15 films. Rashomon 1950, which premiered in Tokyo, became the surprise winner of the Golden Lion at the 1951 Venice Film Festival. The commercial and critical success of that film opened up Western film markets for the first time to the products of the Japanese film industry, which in turn led to international recognition for other Japanese filmmakers. Kurosawa directed approximately one film per year throughout the 1950s and early 1960s, including a number of highly regarded and often adapted films, such as Akiru 1952, Seven Samurai 1954, Throne of Blood 1957, Yojimbo 1961, and High and Low 1963. After the 1960s he became much less prolific. Even so, his later work, including two of his final films, Kagemusha 1980 and Rand 1985, continued to receive great acclaim. In 1990, he accepted the Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. Posthumously, he was named Asian of the Century in the Arts, Literature, and Culture category by Asian Week magazine, and CNN cited there as being among the 5 people who most prominently contributed to the improvement of Asia in the 20th century. His career has been honored by many retrospectives, critical studies and biographies in both print and video, and by releases in many consumer media. As with the play, the film tells the story of a warrior who assassinates his sovereign at the urging of his ambitious wife. Kurosawa was a fan of the play and intended to make his own adaptation for several years, delaying it after learning of Orson Welles' Macbeth 1948. Among his changes was the ending, which required archers to fire arrows around Mifune. The film was shot around Mount Fuji and Izu Peninsula. Despite the change in setting and language and numerous creative liberties, Throne of Blood is often considered one of the best film adaptations of the play, and has received much critical praise. The film won 2 Mainichi Film Awards, including Best Actor for Toshiro Mifune. Summary. Generals Miki and Washizu are samurai commanders and friends under Suzuki, a local Lord who reigns in the castle of the Spider's Web Forest. After defeating the Lord's enemies in battle, they return to his castle. On their way through the thick forest, they meet an evil spirit, who foretells their future, telling them that Washizu will be named Lord of the Northern Garrison and Miki will become commander of the first fortress that day. The spirit then foretells that Washizu eventually will become Lord of Spider's Web Castle, and finally Miki's son will become Lord. When the two return to Suzuki's estate, he rewards them with exactly what the spirit had predicted. As Washizu discusses this with his wife Asagi, she manipulates him into causing the second part of the prophecy to come true by murdering Suzuki when he visits. Asagi gives drugged sake to Suzuki's guards, causing them to fall asleep and allowing Washizu to enter Suzuki's bedchamber and kill him in his sleep. When Washizu returns in shock at his deed, Asagi grabs the bloody spear and puts it in the hands of an unconscious guard, then cries out that an intruder has entered the castle. Washizu slays the guard before he has a chance to plead his innocence. Kunamaru, Suzuki's vengeful son, and Noriyasu, one of Suzuki's advisors, both suspect Washizu's treachery and try to warn Miki, who refuses to believe what they are saying about his friend. Under Asaji's influence, Washizu is unsure of Miki's loyalty, but chooses Miki's son as his heir because he and Asaji have no child of their own. Washizu plans to tell Miki and his son about his decision at a grand banquet. However, Asaji tells him that she is pregnant, which leaves him with a quandary concerning his heir. Now Miki and his son have to be eliminated. During the banquet, Washizu is agitated because Miki and his son have not shown up, and drinks sake copiously. He loses his self-control when Miki's ghost suddenly appears. In a delusional panic, he reveals what has happened to Miki by exclaiming that he is willing to slay Miki a second time, unsheathing his sword and slashing at the empty air near Miki's seat. Attempting to cover for him, Asaji tells the guests that he is drunk and has everyone retire for the evening. One of Washizu's men arrives carrying a bundle containing the severed head of Miki, and tells Washizu and Asaji that Miki's son escaped. Washizu kills the assassin. Later, Washizu's men are beginning to doubt and fear him, and rumors circulate that Miki's son Yoshiteru, Kunamaru, and Noriyasu have joined forces with their one-time rival Inui. Washizu is distraught by the news that his heir has been born dead. In order to ascertain the outcome of the impending battle with his foes, he returns to the forest in search of the evil spirit. The spirit tells him that he will not be defeated in battle until the trees of the spider's web forest rise against the castle. Washizu believes this is impossible and becomes confident of his victory. Washizu tells his troops of the prophecy, and they share his confidence. The next morning, Washizu is awakened by the screams of Asaji's attendants. In her quarters, he finds Asaji in a semi-catatonic state, trying to wash clean an imaginary stain and stench of blood from her hands. Distracted by the sound of his troops, Washizu leaves to investigate. Washizu is told by a panicked soldier that the trees of Spider's Web Forest have risen to attack us. Washizu tries to muster his troops, but they ignore his commands and begin firing arrows at him. Several go through his armor and one pierces his neck, severely wounding him, and when he tells them that to kill their lord is treason, they accuse Washizu of the murder of his predecessor. With his enemies approaching the castle gates, he falls to his arrow wounds, trying to draw his sword as he dies. It is then revealed that the attacking force had used trees, cut from the forest during the night, to shield their advance onto the castle. William Shakespeare's plays had been read in Japan since the Meiji Restoration in 1868, 12th though banned during World War II for not being Japanese. 14th director Akira Kurosawa stated that he had admired Shakespeare's Macbeth for a long time, and that he envisioned making a film adaptation of it after he completed his 1950 film Rashomon. When he learned that Orson Welles had released his own version of Macbeth in 1948, Kurosawa decided to postpone his adaptation project for several years. 15. Kurosawa believed that Scotland and Japan in the Middle Ages shared social problems and that these had lessons for the present day. Moreover, Macbeth could serve as a cautionary tale complementing his 1952 film Akiru. 15. In May 1956, Kurosawa announced that he would be producing 3 samurai films for Toho: Throne of Blood, The Hidden Fortress, and Revenge, each to be filmed from September 1956 to early 1957 by other directors. 16. Ishiro Honda, best known for directing the 1954 kaiju film Godzilla, was slated to direct Throne of Blood, but Kurosawa ended up directing all 3 films himself. 17. The film combines Shakespeare's play with the No style of drama. 18. Kurosawa was an admirer of No, which he preferred over kabuki. In particular, he wished to incorporate No-style body movements and set design. 19. No also makes use of masks, and the evil spirit is seen, in different parts of the film, wearing faces reminiscent of these masks, starting with Yaseona, Old Lady. 20. No often stresses the Buddhist doctrine of impermanence. This is connected to Washizu being denied salvation, with the chorus singing that his ghost is still in the world. 21. Furthermore, the film score's use of flute and drum are drawn from No. 22. Writing. All 3 of Kurosawa's frequent script collaborators participated for the first time: Hideo Oguni, Shinobu Hashimoto, and Yuzo Kikushima, each working with the director for their 4th time. Initially, the screenwriters wrote the script with the intention that it would be directed by Ishiro Honda, but Toho insisted Kurosawa take the directing position after reading the script and realizing a large budget was required for the film. 16. The castle exteriors were built and shot on the volcanic slopes of Mount Fuji. 23. The castle courtyard was constructed at Toho's Tamagawa studio, with volcanic soil brought from Fuji so that the ground matched. 24. The interiors were shot in a smaller studio in Tokyo. The forest scenes were a combination of actual Fuji forest and studio shots in Tokyo. Washizu's mansion was shot in the Izu Peninsula. 24-25. In Kurosawa's own words, "It was a very hard film to make. We decided that the main castle set had to be built on the slope of Mount Fuji, not because I wanted to show this mountain but because it has precisely the stunted landscape that I wanted. And it is usually foggy. I had decided that I wanted lots of fog for this film. Making the set was very difficult because we didn't have enough people and the location was so far from Tokyo. Fortunately, there was a U.S. Marine Corps base nearby, and they helped a great deal, also a whole MP battalion helped us out. We all worked very hard indeed, clearing the ground, building the set. Our labor on this steep fog-bound slope, I remember, absolutely exhausted us, we almost got sick." 24-25. Production designer Yoshiro Muraki said the crew opted to employ the color black in the set walls, and a lot of armor to complement the mist and fog effects. This design was based on ancient scrolls depicting Japanese castles. 26. Special effects. The scene in which trees from the spider's web forest approach the castle, was created by Toho's special effects department and directed by Eiji Tsuburaya. Originally, this scene was longer, but Kurosawa cut several shots of trees from the film because he was unimpressed by them. 27. Washizu's death scene, in which his own archers turn upon him and shoot him with arrows, was in fact performed with real arrows, shot by knowledgeable and skilled archers. During filming, Mifune waved his arms, which was how the actor indicated his intended bodily direction. This was for his own safety in order to prevent the archers from accidentally hitting him. 28. Akira Kurosawa's 1960 film The Bad Sleep Well, was heavily influenced by William Shakespeare's Hamlet, as well as The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. 56. Roman Polanski's 1971 film version of Macbeth has similarities to Throne of Blood, in shots of characters on twisted roads, set design, and music to identify locations and psychological conditions. 57. Toshiro Mifune's death scene was the source of inspiration for Piper Laurie's death scene in the 1976 film Carrie. 58. In which knives are thrown at her, in this case by character Carrie White using her psychic powers. In 1985, Kurosawa returned to adapting Shakespeare, choosing the play King Lear for his final epic film Ron, and again moving the setting to feudal Japan. 59. Throne of Blood is referenced in the anime film Millennium Actress 2001 in the form of the forest spirit witch. 60. It was adapted for the stage by director Ping Chong, premiering at the 2010 Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon. 61. Akira Kurosawa director, co-writer, producer, editor. Eiji Tsuburaya special effects director. Yoshimitsu Banno assistant director. Kuichiro Kishida lighting. Takao Saito camera assistant. Masao Fukuda still photographer. Kohei Ezuki chief art director. Yoshiro Muraki art director and costume designer. Masanori Kobayashi makeup artist. Ichiro Manawa sound effects. Personnel taken from Throne of Blood by Robert N. Watson. 13. Character. Macbeth analog. Toshiro Mifune. Takatoki Washizu. Macbeth 4-5. Isuzu Yamada Lady Asaji Washizu, 6 Lady Macbeth 7-5. Takashi Shimura. Akira Kubo. Noriyasu Odagura. Yoshiteru Miki Flanse 9. Yoichi Tachikawa. Kunamaru Suzuki. Macduff 8. Malcolm 5. Minoru Chiaki Yoshiaki Miki Banquo 5-9-10. Takamaru Sasaki. Chiko Naniwa. Lord Kunaharu Suzuki. Witch 5. King Duncan 11. The Three Witches 12. Kokuden Kodo First General. Sachio Sakai Washizu's Samurai 6. Yu Fujiki. Washizu's Samurai 6. Kichijiro Ueda Washizu's Workman 6. Takeshi Kato Suzuki's Samurai. Shoben Inoue Suzuki's Messenger. Asao Koike Suzuki's Messenger. Eiko Miyoshi Senior Lady in Waiting. Isao Kimura Messenger Phantom. Seiji Miyaguchi. Messenger Phantom.